Mercy Me is coming to Pittsburgh. The Together Again tour with Mercy Me, Crowder, and special guest Andrew Ripp. Thursday, October 5th. Bring your family and friends to the PPG Paints Arena in Pittsburgh for Mercy Me, Crowder, and Andrew Ripp live in concert. 3 multiple award-winning artists on one stage for one night. Let your spirit soar, your heart sing, and your faith ignite. Mark your calendars for Thursday, October 5th. Get your tickets now at mercyme.org.
We think fun is big and expensive.
Yeah.
And we need a week in Paris. And
Yes.
I would love a week in Paris.
Sure.
But in our life right now, that's not an option. Or I'll take 2 hours. I've started cross-stitching again. Like my grandmother taught me.
And that is fun. Hey everyone, and welcome to the Christy Wright Show. I'm so excited because today we are talking about something so fun. We are talking about fun. Yeah, and why you need it in your life, and especially this year. And then I get to sit down with the resident expert of fun, my good friend, Annie F. Downs. She is an author, a speaker, a Bible teacher. She's also the host of the That Sounds Fun podcast. So she's the perfect person to talk about this subject. But first, let's talk about how you add fun in your life. Let me start by giving you an example of a story from last summer. Now, y'all, I got to tell you, I am an Enneagram 8 wing 7, which means if you know anything about the Enneagram, like the 7 in me is like super fun. I love to have fun. I love spontaneity. I love adventure. I love laughter. I love play. So everything in my DNA really points to fun. So when my birthday comes around, because you know Enneagram 7s love birthdays, anyone's birthday, but especially their own, I start dreaming and thinking about what I want to do for my birthday. Well, considering the fact that I have been pregnant for 3 of the last 6 birthdays, I was pretty excited last year to not be pregnant and just think about what do I want to do. Obviously, it was a weird year, so you have to get creative when you're going to have fun. But I thought, what if we went to the lake with just our friends and no kids? Yeah. That sounds fun to me. We never do that. I don't know about you guys, but one of the things I really struggle with is I have a hard time making time for friends with no kids. Now, do we get our families together? Sure. Me and my husband and our kids and lots of our friends and their whole families, we all get together and play. We'll have picnics or go to dinner or whatever. But we don't often get together just as adults. Me and my husband and other couples or other friends or so on. And so I thought, that's what I want for my birthday. I want to have a couple couples come down to the lake and us just play like kids. We can water ski, we can jump off the cliffs, we can stay up late, we can stay out on the water during nap time. Imagine that. We don't have to worry about snacks, we don't have to worry about diapers, we don't have to worry about anything. What if we just went down there and just played and tubed and acted like kids ourselves? So I asked some of my friends, I sent a text out like, hey guys, all I want for my birthday is for us to be together. Can we make it happen? And y'all, I want you to know that we did. One weekend last summer, a couple of friends of mine came down to the lake. It was a couple different couples. Some of my good friends and their husbands came down to the lake, and y'all, we had an absolute blast. We went tubing where my husband was actually driving the boat, and me and 2 of my friends were on the tubes. So it's one of those 3-person lay-on tubes where you're like, holding on to the handles. And I gotta be honest, I was a little nervous that my husband, who's very sweet, would just take it too easy on us. So I was like, I really hope Matt really tries to throw us, because that's what's fun, right? So I was like, Matt, really go for it. I'm yelling back from the tube. I'm really go for it. Don't take it easy. Y'all, I want you to know that man threw me off within the first 2 seconds. I didn't have a prayer of hanging on. And then about 5 seconds later, we get back on, we try again. At one point, I remember hanging onto the side of the tube for dear life, trying to suction my body to it because there was nothing of the tube that I was actually on. And I remember the last thing I saw as I went flying off was my friend Sarah flying through the air. And she goes, I'm so sorry, as she landed directly on top of me. It sounds very dangerous now that I'm saying this out loud, but y'all, it was so fun. We were silly, we were playful, we were uninhibited, we weren't worried about being grown-ups and being responsible for our kids. We just played. I laughed more that weekend than I have in a long time. I laughed until my abs hurt from just being so silly. We had so much fun. Now, was that weekend just a complete fluke? You know, like a coincidence that we had so much fun, or an accident, like, oh, it was just one of those magical weekends where it was just like, can't recreate it, you know, because it's just one of those times. No. I think that what we did that made that weekend so fun is actually something we can do again, and it's actually something you can do. It's a process you can repeat, that you can duplicate to intentionally create fun in your life. So let's look at what we did that made that weekend so fun, okay? Because I think that this formula, if you will, and formulas don't sound fun, but if they create fun, because when you got a lot of kids, you need a plan and a process to get there, then sure, let's just follow these steps, okay? Step number 1 that we did that made that possible, we put it on the calendar. You know, if something is not on the calendar, it's not gonna happen, right? If you're waiting until there's time left over to work out, to have some alone time, to do that hobby, to spend time with friends, to go catch up with whoever, if you're waiting until there's time left over, you're basically saying this is never gonna happen, right? I mean, let's just be honest. That's what you're saying. If you're saying, when I have time left over, I'll do that, you might as well say, I'm never gonna do that. Because there's never, ever time left over. So if something is important to you, like fun can be and should be, I would argue, in your one life you get on this earth, then it has to make it on the calendar if it's actually going to happen. Think about this in your own life. When you've been talking with friends or anyone that you're making plans with, it's all a conversation until someone buys a ticket, right? It's all just a conversation until someone buys a plane ticket, buys a concert ticket, or puts it on the calendar. There's some commitment that is made. There's some skin in the game. There's some commitment that says we are actually doing this. It's not a hypothetical. It's not just a fun conversation. It's not just a text chain that we're going to forget about it anymore. It's, hey, I made a reservation. See you guys Thursday night at 7. When you actually put it on the calendar, when you actually make a commitment to that thing that's going to be fun, it's much more likely to happen. For example, and I've told many of you all this story before, but whenever Annie F. Downs, Rachel Cruz, and I went to Vegas, none of us had ever been to Vegas. We were so excited to go and just like see Vegas. And we'd been dreaming about it, talking about it, texting about it, all the things. But when I bought a flight, I was like, okay, we're in for this weekend. Y'all are good? They said, we're good. I went on southwest.com. I bought a plane ticket, took a screenshot and sent it to them. And it was like, oh, game on. We're really doing this. And you know what? We really did. But it all started because we put it on the calendar and actually made it happen. So what does that look like for you? Maybe you've been waiting to have some time left over to have fun, but because you never have time left over, you never have any fun. The first thing you can do is simply put it on the calendar. Make a commitment to that thing, whether it's dinner or Vegas or going to the lake or just hanging out with your friends for no reason at all. Put it on the calendar, and it's much more likely to happen when you have a really busy life. It has to make it in. The second thing, and this one is specific to those of you all that are parents, you need to get some childcare. Oh. Now, I know this is easier said than done. I realize that. And I realize everyone doesn't have help. They don't have family. But y'all, there are so many creative options of how you can get the help you need to have the fun that you deserve to have in your one life. One of the reasons we had so much fun that weekend is because we had a break from our kids. Now, we love our kids. I love my kids. I love my kids. I also love some time without my kids. I love to be able to sleep in. I love to not be yelled at for snacks all day. Like, you need that. If you're a parent, especially if you're a parent of little kids, get childcare in order to have some fun without your kids. I know you have fun with your kids. I do too. I get that. But you need to have some adult time. Adult time, whether it's with your spouse or just with your friends or with both, with other couples where you get to be with your spouse and your friends. You need time without your kids to recharge, to let loose. Because let's be honest, you can't really relax when you're on duty with your kids, can you? You can't really let loose and relax when you're responsible for other human lives. And you shouldn't. You're their parent. That's our job, right? But what's so great is you can find creative options. So maybe you hire a babysitter if that's in your budget. But if it's not, y'all, I have 2 friends that they trade babysitting nights. They're friends, And one friend will watch the other friend's kids while this couple goes out to dinner, and then they trade the next weekend. This friend watches both sets of kids while this couple goes out to dinner, and they never have to pay any money for childcare. Maybe you can trade or barter. I know a lot of churches have resources for parents and especially single parents to get you the help you need to get a much needed break. So the second thing that made that weekend so fun was we had help in childcare and we were able to be alone, be adults without our kids. The third thing that made this particularly fun is that we just played. We were just silly. We did what was fun for us. So what's fun for you? Like, what sounds fun to you? When you think about what recharges your batteries, what gives you energy, what brings you joy, what sounds awesome. For someone, maybe it's joining a book club and having some quiet time and discussing in depth some really deep books, some philosophical book. That's fun to them. For someone else, it is being wild and crazy on a tube. For someone else, it's traveling. For someone else, it is taking up a new hobby. It can be anything, but it's what's specific to you. What sounds fun to you? What brings you joy? What makes you happy? You know, I think a lot of times we have this idea that we are so responsible and we're such grown-ups and we have to, do all the right things, that we're so busy doing all the right things and being responsible grown-ups that we just forget how important it is to have fun, to just have fun. You get one life. You should enjoy this one life you get on this earth. And so put it on the calendar. Get help with childcare, and do what sounds fun to you. Because I promise you this, and this is me being a big sister, some tough love for you, but if you don't make any time for fun in your life, you're not any fun to be around. Make time for fun so you actually enjoy this one life you've been given. All right, y'all, I'm so excited. I get to hang out with my very good friend in real life and author, speaker, Bible teacher, all the things. Annie F. Downs. I almost forgot the F.
It's okay.
I know better.
Thank you.
I know better. This is not my first
That's
show.
right.
I'm so glad that you're back on the show. You
thanks
are
for having
just
me.
a part of our family. Business
Yes.
Boutique family, the Christy Wright Show, Ramsey Solutions, all the things. But I wanted you to come on because you have a new book coming out.
Yes.
And it's in pre-sale right now, and it's
Yes.
called That Sounds Fun, which is kind of your area of expertise.
Right.
Same so much tell. Listen,
Right.
you have a podcast called That Sounds Fun.
Yep.
Now you have a book called That Sounds Fun. Before you dive into this, let's just talk about why fun?
Yeah.
Why did you name your podcast That Sounds Fun?
Yeah.
And how has it taken on a life of its own on this topic that you love so much?
Right.
Tell me about it.
So, I mean, the reality is when I named the podcast, I don't know if we've ever talked about this.
Okay.
I literally, a friend asked me to interview them and said, just release it. And I was like, on what? Like,
They
on my
invited
blog?
themselves
onto
on
a thing
a
that didn't
non-existent
exist.
show?
Yes. They were
Okay,
like,
great.
well, you just interview me about my new book when it comes out. And I was like, okay. And so,
I have nowhere to put this. Is
yeah,
that okay?
yeah. That's what I said. I said, what do you want me to do? And they said, have you ever thought about starting a podcast? And I said, that sounds fun. Literally. And then I went home and I Googled it and I was like, no one else has named a podcast that, so I'll start there. But I'll tell you the real thing, Christy, I didn't know everyone didn't think about fun as much as I do.
Oh.
I
okay.
thought all of us were trying to
This
figure
is top
out.
priority.
Yes. I thought we were all thinking about fun. And then as I got older and I started talking to friends about it, then the language switched to it's really immature to talk about fun. And so then I started feeling shame because I was like, oh, a grown-up doesn't do this. But what's actually true is there's something really innocent and beautiful and needed in our adult lives of men and women. We need fun.
Yes.
It reconnects us with this thing that feels like it's lost.
Yeah.
It reconnects us with this almost childhood thing.
Yeah.
Now the real is the thing we have to tell ourselves that's true is the thing we've lost is actually gone. You actually can't go back and be a kid again.
Right.
The innocence you knew before you knew what you know now.
Right.
Jokingly in the book, I call it the understanding. Now that we have the understanding, you can't go back. But what we can do is still pursue the joy of that and the fun of that and make space for that in our lives. We have filled our lives with busyness and sadness and frustration.
Responsibility.
Yes.
Yeah.
And all of those matter to some degree, but but we just need to go back and go, what's the thing that brought me joy when I was 5?
Yeah.
And can I do it again?
Yeah. One of the things I shared earlier in this episode, I shared a story of last summer going to the lake house and what I wanted for my birthday. You and I, we love birthdays.
Yes.
We're both July birthdays. We love birthdays. All I wanted for my birthday was to have a couple of couples at our lake house and play with no kids, where we were the ones tubing. We were the ones skiing. We were the ones jumping off the cliffs. And we did. And Annie, I laughed harder that weekend than I have in forever. And I realized, gosh, when I'm always being a grown-up, I'm not playing. And it's not that it's not fun. I have fun with my kids, but it's a different type of fun when you're responsibility free and you're just literally, like you're saying, pursuing fun.
Yes.
And so I just love that reminder that it's okay to want to have that we need that. Okay, so then it turned into a book.
Yeah.
How did this happen?
How did this become people kind of started putting me in this like fun expert role.
You are.
Right.
Enneagram 7. You're welcome.
Right. What choice did I have?
Right.
But there would people would come up to me at airports, at restaurants, at church, at the mall, anywhere, and go, I listen to your podcast. Here's an episode I love. I want to tell you what I do for fun. Because the last question I always ask on my show is, what do you do for fun? Yeah. And people were telling me, and it was real interesting, Christy, because people tell me in like is it okay if this is fun? Like they've made me the expert and the judge. Yeah. Yes. And every time I'm like, yeah, your fun is your fun.
Sure.
And so the more I had those conversations with my guests on the show, with my friends in real life, and with my friends who come up to me in public, I realized like, oh, there's more to this.
Yeah.
There's more to this. And as you know, we do these kind of things a lot. We do record podcasts a lot. And 2 levels deeper, there's something else going on in our lives. Yeah. And it is really hard to do that in real time, to share those losses in real time. For me, I'm not married yet and don't have kids yet. So to share breakups in real time isn't healthy. But I can write about them and say, hey, here's the pain that I'm experiencing, and yet here's how to pursue fun. It's what Inside Out taught us. The holding joy and sadness together is what makes for a complete life. And so it was time to write the book, because it was time to go, hey, while y'all were listening to this and watching these Insta stories and seeing me at events, here's what was going on behind the scenes. I wasn't faking it.
Right.
I was just choosing both.
Sure.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that. Okay, so I want to ask you that question. The question you asked them.
Yeah.
What sounds fun to you? Like, what is your list
Do you
of
want
fun?
me to tell you? I get to go to Dollywood next week, and I love Dollywood
I'm so
much.
jealous.
I know.
So jealous right now.
I mean, just a little bit. It is that. It is, can I have a day with a friend where we have no responsibilities.
You're ridiculous.
I don't
You're
need to be
just
on my
crazy.
phone.
Yes.
I don't have to do anything work-wise. I just get to go ride roller coasters and eat cinnamon bread.
Yes.
I think that's
Who doesn't think that's fun, first of all?
That's another problem, is that we think fun is big and expensive.
Yeah.
And we need a week in Paris. And
Yes.
I would love a week in Paris.
Sure.
But in our life right now, that's not an option.
Yeah.
And so I'll take a day at Dollywood.
Yeah.
Or I'll take 2 hours. I've started cross-stitching again. Like my grandmother taught me.
And that is fun.
My phone percentage last week went down 40%.
Wow.
Because instead of watching TV and doing the 2-screen thing where I'm scrolling and watching Great British Bake Off, I mean, have you ever heard of more like simple, wholesome content than cross-stitching and Great British Baking Show? Yeah. But it gives me something to do. I'm making something that matters. That's why this book, so much of it is about getting a hobby. Yeah. Like, we've got to do something that doesn't make us money, that we don't have to be a professional at, that doesn't take a lot of time, that is just a little investment. So a day at Dollywood, an hour of cross-stitching, cooking something in the kitchen. Like, can we find fun in the life we have already?
Just simple things to find fun. Okay, what about like surprises? Do you like surprises? I love surprises. Like
times 1,000.
I'm an Enneagram 8 wing 7. Like, I love surprises.
Yes. This is why we do our lives together so well, because I'm a 7 with an 8 wing. So we just like meet in the middle. I love Oh my God! That was very surprising. Hi, Rach. Are you coming with us?
She's coming. Come around.
That was very surprising.
That was my stomach hurts.
How did you? I know.
I was in a very interesting position.
Were you like this whole time?
I was like, she's gonna creep. I know. I was like, we've got to get to the queue.
Hi. Let's go back to Vegas.
I know. It's like, let's talk about fun. Friendships, surprises, fun. This is it.
No responsibility. I was like, Vegas it is.
Vegas. Let's go back.
Done.
Let's go back.
Oh my God. We were talking about this episode, and I was like, okay, we're gonna talk about fun. I was like, what if we just did something fun? I was like, Rachel, I get on Marco Polo. You know how we love Marco Polo. I'm like, hey, 10 o'clock Tuesday. Can you be there?
That is
hide behind the couch.
Number one, that is not how the market was. I was like, Rachel, I have this great idea. I was great idea. Do you think?
You've been back there this whole time. You are so impressive.
We
Were you,
had to
stretching?
I was like, be very quiet.
This was a very challenging morning. No, I'm just kidding.
So impressive. It was like actually a quiet.
She goes, this is the most relaxing part of my day.
I have a blanket and a pillow back there.
Oh my gosh! Of course
Oh,
they
she's
do.
all
Of course
snuggled
they do.
Hi.
What a great
We're gonna talk about fun together.
Yes,
We're gonna be the fun.
matching.
I know we're very
at
much
you.
matching. Yeah,
I love
it's cute,
it.
right?
I love it.
Okay, so speaking of Vegas, that is one of the many travel
Oh my
is fun.
gosh,
Okay,
yes.
let's share some highlights from Vegas. Okay,
Yes.
and this is Rachel. Why don't we start with you? Why don't
I'm gonna just put.
I just want to start by saying that we were all very good in Vegas. Let me start by
Oh.
giving that.
Oh, yeah,
disclaimer.
that's
We're all
good.
very
Yeah,
good.
yeah, yeah.
And what some people need to know
Nothing
that
that's
we need to know.
happened
We need
in
to
Vegas
clarify.
had to stay in Vegas. We brought it all
you-
back with us. We had a great
You can tell
time.
everything that happened. In
Elton
Vegas.
John.
Uh,
Elton John. He was so
Elton.
good.
Elton.
He was
How many
so-
standing ovations did he ask for? He literally just
So
number
many.
47 and 48.
He did.
He paused so many
He
times.
gave us a lot of space to appreciate him.
Sure,
which I'm grateful
sure.
for.
Sure.
Nobu, my restaurant.
Yes,
Oh.
Nobu, the sushi.
Yes, yeah. So for context, we went to Las Vegas for Rachel's 30th birthday.
Yes.
3 years ago to celebrate, and it was so
So
fun.
fun.
So fun.
So
It was
fun.
so much fun.
Well, it was one of those things. It was like, okay, we should do because we were gonna see Britney Spears. Britney Spears.
It all
That
started
was
with
the
Brittany.
goal. The
It
goal
all
was Britney.
started
Britney
with Brittany.
really motivated
That's
us.
what we wanted was Brittany.
And I was pregnant at the time. We were talking about it. I was like, I don't want to go to Vegas pregnant. So like, we gotta. So we waited about 6 months, and then Christy texted us. She was like, I just
Yeah.
booked flights to Vegas.
Yes.
Let's do it.
Make it
We
real.
had to
gotta
set it
make it
between
real.
your children. Y'all were like, we're
We
getting
did.
pregnant here and here.
We
We're
did.
gonna have babies here. We're gonna go to Vegas right here.
And another highlight from the trip was we set out to go to Vegas to see Britney. And
Yeah.
when we couldn't get Britney, we thought, what about J-Lo? We're really looking for some good
Gwen Stefani was
pop
there.
Yeah.
music.
Yeah.
Rachel texts the three of us a picture of some man with puppets around his head.
Yes.
What's his name? Something Fader. And she's like, what about this guy going throwing a flag?
Yeah,
Throwing a flag.
no, we're not.
Three cute girls going to Vegas
Number
seeing a
one.
puppet man.
Number one, I said, if we're going to Vegas, I want a Vegas show. I want a
Yeah,
Vegas
yeah.
comedy.
But
I don't
not
care.
like puppets per se.
There was
No.
a puppet.
There
Yeah.
was about
I could
60 puppets around his head. Okay, so here's one of the things I love about teaching them, though, about like helping people with this idea of fun or any topic.
Yeah.
Is it's not something that was super special about us or magical about just Vegas or that trip. Fun is something, and you teach this, that can be duplicated. So let's talk about what
Yes.
are all the things that made that so fun, or anything we do. Like, first of all, friendships. I think
Yeah.
like having
Yes.
time with girlfriends
Yes.
is so important, and you have to make time for it. You have to schedule
Right.
it on the calendar,
Yes.
align it between babies,
Yes.
book a flight.
Right.
What are some other things that you think are like great takeaways? Like, okay, we can actually duplicate
Yeah.
this to have fun. It's not just some of those things you have to just wait for it magically to appear
Right.
in your life.
One of the
like
things that
pursuing it.
2020 cost us is there a lot of personalities that really love anticipation.
Yes.
And so some
Looking
of the
forward to
fun
stuff.
That's good.
is planning. And
Yeah.
so even if my Dollywood trip, it is a 3-hour drive.
Sure.
It's been on the calendar for 45 days.
And you've been thinking about it
Yes.
so much.
Yes.
Buying
because-
Dolly
and so-
shirts,
Yes,
all the
so
big stuff.
even if it is just a dinner with one friend outside,
Yeah.
put it on the calendar. Have some anticipation around
Yeah,
it
that's good,
because
that's
there's
good.
something to look forward to. We've lost the ability to look forward a little bit
Yeah.
because things get canceled so
Right.
much. So if you can put something on the calendar and anticipate it, that helps. The other thing we can duplicate is letting other people help us, meaning Elton John. The waiters,
Elton.
right? Like you
Help
don't
me have
to-
fun, Elton.
Yes.
Help me.
Yes, save up your money and pay for Disney Plus and watch Hamilton. You know, like do some things where you are not all the way in charge.
Yes. Of creating your
Mom's
own
good.
fun.
That's
Women
good.
are all the way in charge a lot. Moms are all the way in charge a lot when it comes to things of this nature.
Yeah.
And so it is so nice to go, I'm just going to pay $8 and Hamilton's going to play for me.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
or I'm going to book my flight and then someone else is going to fly me there.
Yes.
And and so just letting go of some of the control actually will be more fun than you think it is.
I love that.
And I like experiences.
Yes, you're big on this.
2020 has been good though. Of like, yeah, we're at home and friends come to you, or you go. You know what I mean? And you're just
You have
like
to get creative.
You have to get creative.
Yeah.
But when you can go outside the norm,
Yes.
like where it feels a little uncomfortable, right? Like when we were like, I'm like, we're going to Vegas. It was a
Right.
little bit of
I've
things I
never
was
been
like,
before.
Are we
Yeah.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
yeah. And like 2020, some people they didn't go out to eat, and maybe
Yeah.
it's the first time like I'm gonna go to a restaurant or like
Yes.
whatever it is. Like push just like a little bit out of the comfort zone
Yes.
of the experience. I think that makes it so
I
fun,
do too.
memorable.
It's so interesting too because I feel like we're such creatures of habit. Even if you're a fun person, especially
Yes.
just like life gets so busy, you just get into these grooves every night. We come home at 5, we fix
Yeah.
dinner, put the kids to bed, we sit on the couch watching. And those are not bad things, but I think breaking the routine
Yes.
can create so much fun. So like
Yes.
now that takes mental energy to think like, what are we going to do? But one of the things we did during quarantine, I know a lot of people did, you had to get creative last year because you couldn't go to some of these places when everything was shut down. So we would do scavenger hunts in the neighborhood. We got to know our neighbors. People would like put a letter on their door with the neighborhood Facebook group and you had to do a word find, like all these interesting things because you had to get creative.
Yes.
But through that creativity, we found new types of fun. You know what I mean? Versus just like, okay, we're going to go to the same playground. We're going to do the same thing. And I think breaking the routine can be a lot of fun. Okay, what about, I'm trying to think of like, when you talked about other people helping you with fun, one of the things that Matt helps me with a lot is he is, as chill as he seems, he's very funny. And he's like a prankster. He's always pulling pranks on me and he like plays with me. Like makes like he will, I'm trying, like I'll get a bowl out for cereal and then I turn my back and he hides it. And so I'm searching around the kitchen and he just thinks, and he's just like so straight faced, but it's all day, every day.
Right.
So what are some things that like, what are some fun ways for someone that's going like, well, I feel like I'm not a fun person. How can they find fun or connect with people that are fun or like you said, pursue it?
Yeah.
Because I know some people have that identity and they go, well, I'm not really a fun person. How do they find fun?
Well, the first thing is you're probably not right.
Yeah.
You
that
probably
label,
are a little more fun than you've labeled yourself. You've decided that these 4 things are fun and you like number 5.
Okay.
And if you like cooking or if you like cross-stitching or crosswords or, I mean, there's a group of us that during quarantine, we bought puzzles and everybody was doing puzzles. And then we realized like, well, I wish we could trade. And so we have a spreadsheet and we trade puzzles and take them over to each other's houses. Like someone else stepping into the thing you love with you increases the fun.
Oh, I love
that. So can you find, in the days of the internet, you can find someone who likes anything that you like.
Yeah.
So it starts with giving yourself permission to say out loud, I like cross-stitching. It's kind of a grandma thing to do. I'm okay with that. But also when I was at the fabric store last week getting new thread for a new pattern, there was a girl standing next to me, does not look anything like me, totally different upbringing, totally different life. And we talked for 8 minutes standing there about like what fabric, what we're making and how we find our patterns. And so it made me feel more comfortable in my fun.
Yeah.
Because I thought this girl who's nothing like me, that we would have nothing to talk about at another store or at a gas station. We're connecting over this thing. And so get online and go to Pinterest and find people who like what you like and watch it increase the fun you feel about what you're doing.
I love that. Okay, I've got a question. This just popped in my head when you were talking. What do you think, and I want to hear from both of y'all on this, what do you think gets in the way of us having fun? Like, what do you think are the biggest barriers? I can even think off the top of my head, like being busy, being productive. I got to do my to-do list. I've got to do something more responsible. I've got dishes to be done. Like, what do you think are some of those things? And let's just list them off so we can kind of be on guard against them.
Yes.
So, oh, wait a minute. Like, life's too short to not have some fun.
Yes.
What are some of those things you think get in the way?
I think not being intentional. Like you said, you have to schedule a little bit of that, right? Like we do a wind down Wednesdays.
Yeah, once a month.
Once a month, a Wednesday a month. And literally before you leave the house, we schedule the next one. Because if we don't, 3 weeks will go by and I'm like, oh, I haven't seen Annie in a while. Okay.
Yep.
Like literally put it on the calendar. And I thrive, y'all know me, on schedules. I love
a
my calendar.
good schedule.
I love my schedules. And so for me, I'm like, yes, I schedule it in so that it happens. So for me, I have to be intentional.
Yeah.
And if you're not intentional, it doesn't happen.
Even as you said that, it made me think like whenever I schedule my haircut, when I leave the haircut of getting my haircut, I schedule the next one. Because why? Because it's a priority.
Yes.
We need the roots. Like friendships be more important than my roots. Like why are we not doing? I love that.
Totally.
Okay.
Right. I also think money can keep people. They think it has to be expensive.
Yes.
It has to be a big investment. It can be small and free.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways. And I think the other thing is it's a mislabeling of ourselves. It's kind of what we just talked about. One of the things that will keep you from fun is telling yourself you don't deserve fun.
Or you're not fun. I hear it all the time. I'm not a fun mom. I'm like, who says?
Yes.
Decide that you are.
Yes. Do one thing this week that is a little bit outside the box and your kids are going to have fun.
Yeah.
Or your friends are going to have fun. So I think removing the labels that you've given yourself and releasing yourself to, I think the other thing is when we're in pain, we think we can't laugh. And we think it will be disrespectful or impossible or downplay your pain to have any kind of joy in the middle. And that's just not true.
Yeah.
And so don't let your schedule or your pain or your budget or your own self get in the way of doing something that reconnects you with who you used to be and who you loved being as a kid that can actually, here's a science. This is true.
Okay, let's have it.
There have always been rainbows. There have never been pots of gold. Right? So we always have these conversations where we're talking about the pot of gold that we have to find the perfect experience. We have to have the perfect relationship. We have to have the perfect conversation, the perfect budget. And the reality is get about the rainbow.
Yeah.
Get about what you can already see, what is actually there. And there is so much joy right there. Quit trying to look for things to be perfect and jump right in.
Yeah. I love that. That's such a good point. I love that analogy.
Never been gold at the end.
We're always chasing that thing that doesn't exist.
That's so frustrating to me.
How did that come in your head? As you're telling the analogy, I'm like, where did this? I know. Look at you.
Lucky Charms.
That's right. I know.
It's cereal. It's all cereal.
Man, Annie. Man.
Okay. So
energy. That would be another one.
that keeps you
coming
fun.
energy.
I'm on the energy for it.
I'm on the energy
I'm
for it.
tired.
Right.
I'm
Because
tired to do that.
we think it is a big investment.
Kids will drain that energy.
Right.
You know.
What if fun is literally sugar, flour, butter, salt, whatever it takes to make cookies and doing that for 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right? Like, let your kids make a mess. Everything can clean up.
Yeah.
Like, there is an energy. You have an amount of energy.
Yeah.
Give a % of that to fun, and it will actually increase the rest of your energy, I think.
Yeah, it's such a good point, too, because anytime that I have put energy into having fun, whatever that thing is, I'm always glad I did it.
Yes.
I never regret doing it. I always regret not doing it. You know what I mean? It's like, and those things that I know for me, and I know I'm more of an extrovert, so I get my energy from a lot of these experiences, friendships, things we're talking about.
We're both introverts.
Yeah,
so.
I know.
That's why we
They don't
really
relate
like
at all. But those things are so life-giving to me, and the things that I naturally go to when I'm low on energy or whatever, not being intentional, are not life-giving. Like sitting in front of a show and just kind of checking out on my phone, that's not life-giving to me.
Yes.
If I would put a little bit of energy into whatever that thing is with my kids, my husband, whatever, scavenger hunt, walk around the neighborhood, it's so life-giving. I actually have more energy afterwards because I did that thing.
Yes.
You know, and I think sometimes we miss that. Okay, I want to switch gears really quickly to friendships. And you and I have been talking about this recently, even on Marco Polo. I think friendships is such an interesting topic as adults.
Yeah.
Because when we're little, we're friends with our neighborhood. We're friends with our class.
Yeah.
Even in high school, you're friends with your clique.
Right.
College, you kind of fall into a group. And then we enter adulthood. And you hold on to some of those friendships from high school and college. You also meet new friendships through work, through whatever you do. And then it's just kind of this weird place where you're going, how do you make friends as an adult? Because I think friendships are so critical to having fun. Most people have fun with others.
In community.
Yes,
Yeah, that's right.
For sure.
And so the people that are watching right now, they're going like, I don't have a group of 3 girls I'd go to Vegas with, or I don't have a group of girls that I Marco Polo with, or do Wind Down Wednesdays, or whatever the thing is. We each have our multiple groups of friends that we have these traditions, whether it's a girls trip or whatever. What about someone that's watching? They're like, man, I really crave friendship, and I know it's important. And I don't know how to make friends as a grown woman in my 30s, 40s, 50s, whatever. I mean, that's a hard thing. Like, what are y'all's thoughts on? I know we don't have it totally figured out, but what would you say are maybe some suggestions?
Well, to me, one of the things that has worked in my life is being willing to say what you want. Okay. Meaning, say you meet someone, I meet the girl at the cross-stitch aisle, and if I was looking for friendship, I'd say to her, hey, is there any chance you want to like get coffee and work on these next week?
It's like asking someone on a date.
It is a risk. Yeah, it's a risk. But there are times, even with y'all, with close friends or with brand new friends, where my opportunity is to be vulnerable and say what I want, even if I'm going to get rejected. Yeah. To say, hey, I would love to do this. Or have you ever thought, there's a friend of mine just married a girl and she's new to town. She moved here to marry him. And so I voice memoed her the other day and I just said, hey, another friend of ours hung out with her. And I voice memoed her, I said, hey, every time I've been around you, I really like you. And so I would like to hang out like she got to hang out. Yeah. So if you have any time this week, she has not responded. It's been 3 days. Yep. And that is okay.
Right. Yes.
The reason I have friendships is because I send those voice memos.
Right. Yes.
That one may not work, but another one will.
Right.
And so there is a lot of power in holding and being true to yourself about what you want.
Right.
Hey, I'm looking for a mentor. Hey, I'm looking for a friend. Hey, I'm looking for someone to work out with in the mornings. And say that. And if you get rejected, I bet you'll survive it.
Right.
Yes, I bet
and you're going to have a lot more friends from just putting yourself out there.
Yes.
And in her defense, I can't tell you how many people I've sent a voice memo to that they're going, what is this on my screen? Yeah. Like, they don't actually know what a voice memo is. She's like, she may not respond because she's not sure what that play button means. Yeah. How do I respond to this thing? It's so funny what you say, though, because I actually, without even realizing until you said it, that's actually what I did with Christy McClellan.
Yeah,
I love her. She's through Church of the City, and I've seen her teach, and I was like, I just think she's great. And I think sometimes we want to, like, polish ourselves and, like, present, like do some weird dance where we say the right thing in the right way and we're sneaky about it. And I just messaged her on Instagram. I was like, hey, I just think you're really great. so I just think I'd like to be friends with you. I don't know if you'd ever want to get coffee. I just literally said the innocence almost of a child of like, you want to be my friend?
That's it. That's it.
You know?
Do you want to be my friend? Yes.
Just putting it out there, and some might respond and some might not. But gosh, you're going to have a lot more friends if you just say what you want. I love that.
And honestly, when you say it, right? Like if you say, oh yeah, I'd love just to hang out. When you're the recipient, that feels good.
Yes.
You're like, oh, well, thanks. Yeah, thank you so much. Great. And like then you have to say, on my calendar, do I have time?
Yes.
But for real, I'm like, it's a life-giving thing. That's a gift to give to someone. To say, hey, I see you and I want to hang out with you. Like when they receive that message, like that feels good to them.
Yes. Yeah. And you have to be, when you're the receiver or the giver, you have to be self-aware enough to know if it fits in your schedule, to know if you have time, to know if you can meet those expectations. If someone asks you to mentor them, you need to say, do I have that to give this year?
Yes.
And if the answer is no, saying that to them and then saying, but I really hope you find someone.
Yeah.
And give them the power to keep going and to keep asking. And the same is true with my cross-stitch friend. If she'd have gone, hey, I'm not sitting in restaurants yet, or I don't have time, I go, well, I'll see you next time we're in the same aisle.
Right.
And at some point, you will find a friend who connects over the thing that you're looking for.
Yeah.
And it feels great. People ask us, y'all get this too, DMs just like that of like, hey, I'm coming through Nashville. Can we get coffee? And my schedule doesn't allow that.
Right.
But her even reaching out or him even reaching out opens the door for the right person to step into that role. Mm-hmm. And I think that is super brave and really fun, and it pays off.
Yeah. I love it. Oh my gosh. Yo, we could talk all day. This is so fun.
Right.
And we will just continue this offline once we're done recording because they want us out of here. Before we wrap up, let's just say, what is one thing that sounds fun to you? And I'll go first.
Okay,
I know you'll have lots of things.
You're flipping it.
I know.
Question. I
know
like
I
that.
have a lot of things. For me, spontaneity.
Yes.
Spur of the moment. It's not planned. That's so fun. I get so excited.
Love it. Yes. What's your answer? What do you think's fun?
I'm a traveler. I love it.
I know you do love
So I know I'm
back to Vegas.
I'm the weird one that I'm like, and even if it's like a 2-hour trip away,
sure,
or we'll go like literally 35 minutes away to do Christmas lights somewhere, like for Christmas. I'm like, I don't care. Like I want to get in the car. I want to go somewhere. I want to do something. Again, it may not have to be an airplane.
Yes.
Yeah. But I want to go somewhere.
Yes.
Oh, I love a good experience.
I'm with you on both of those things. I would also say I love making things. I love making food, my cross stitch. I love having conversations, making podcasts. I think it is so fun when there is nothing and then there is something.
Yeah.
And so, which is what we've just
You're
done,
a creator,
right? There was nothing and now there is something that people get to watch and listen to. And I absolutely love that. I think that's so fun that God made a way for us to be creators as well as creation. It is incredibly fun to me.
Oh my gosh.
Good.
Well, this has been so fun.
What a great surprise.
Yes. Okay, tell people where they can get your book. That sounds fun.
So it's in all your favorite local retailers. You can call your local bookstore, Amazon, and until February 1, if you pre-order the book and then go to thatsoundsfunbook.com, you get the audiobook for free that day.
Oh, so fun.
So you can listen to the audiobook today, and then the book will show up on February 2nd.
I love it. The joys of being an amateur, the power of falling in love, and why you need a hobby. That does sound fun. Y'all, this was so fun.
Surprise, right?
Thanks for the surprise. Thanks
Good
for
job.
having me, Christy. It was such a great experience. Thank you.
Oh, so good. So good.
Oh, that was very surprising.
All right, y'all, I'd love to share a verse with you that is famous and you've probably heard it, but I think it is so perfect for what we're talking about today. This is from the book of John, and this is John 10:10. And actually, we talked about this recently with Matthew West, if you guys might remember this. This is John 10:10. It says, "The thief comes only to steal and kill and destroy. I have come that they may have life and have it to the full." Other translations in the Bible say, "I have come that they may have life and have it abundantly." I love these words when you think about a full life, an abundant life, and certainly you can dig into the layers of this one verse, of the meanings, the depths of it, the theology of it when we think about eternal life that we have in Jesus. But I also think there's a real practical implication here on earth that we can and should live fully. That we should enjoy and embrace and have great attitudes and enjoy love and laughter in this one life we have on the earth. Now, what's really cool is that you can decide what a full life means for you. You can, as my friend Annie F. Downs often says, you can have a full life and it not be fulfilling. But what does a full, fulfilling life look like for you? What does an abundant life look like for you? I'll tell you one of the things that I have struggled with In the last few years of becoming a new mom and having kids and trying to manage all of the different things in my life, is I've tried to discern for myself, what does the full life look like and not just be busy? But because busy doesn't necessarily mean full, certainly not by these standards of an abundant life. What does that look like for you? To have a full, abundant life. I'll tell you, for me, some of the things that make me feel like I'm living a full, abundant life where I am really enjoying this one life I've been given on this earth. Here are some things that make me feel like I'm living abundantly. Certainly time with my family that I love so much. It is life-giving to me. It is such an important piece of my life. Part of my life is just being connected to the people that I love the most. Another aspect of that is just being outside in creation. I know everyone doesn't feel this way, but when I am able to be active or exercise or hike or be outside in nature, I experience God there. I experience our Creator in His creation. I love everything from the leaves changing to the birds chirping to the wind on my face, the dirt beneath my feet when I'm on a hike and the rocks crunching. I just love nature and appreciating how creative our God is. Another thing that for me really represents an abundant life is time with friends, just friendships. I'm an extrovert to the core. I get my energy from people. So when I get to connect with people, my coworkers, my family, and certainly my friends, that is so life-giving to me. And just like we've been talking about today, there's a real practical implication to the things that we love and enjoy and want to integrate into our life. If we actually love and enjoy and want to integrate those into our life, we have to do something about it. So I'll give you a really specific example. I have a group of girlfriends. There are 5 of us, and we have gone on a girls' trip every single year since 2006. Now, that may not sound that amazing, but y'all, in our busy lives, when one of the girls lives in New York, one of the girls lives in Knoxville, and then 3 of us that are in Nashville, we have about 1 million kids between the 5 of us. We've gone through marriages and moves and job changes and all this, that we still prioritize this trip every year. And every single time that I post about this on Instagram, like, oh, it's our annual girls trip, I always get messages from people, specifically women a lot of times, saying, how do you do it? Like, how do you find time for girls trips? How do you find time for friends? And I thought, we don't find time. We make time. It's important to me, so we make it happen. We prioritize it. Now, I'm not saying that's the right way to be in terms of you have to have a girls trip every year, but what I would say is that is something that represents an abundant, full life to me. That is something that brings me joy and makes me like who I am and the life that I lead, the life that I feel like God has given me. But what about you? What does that look like for you? God says Jesus has come that we may have life and have it abundantly. And if we're not careful, we'll get so busy doing the next thing and the right thing and filling our calendars with all the things that we end up really busy, really tired, but not living an abundant life. So I've got some journal questions for you as you process this and think about what it looks like for you in your life and certainly in your year that we are still in the process of planning ahead. Let's go ahead and think about some of these things. Your first question is this: what does an abundant life mean to you? And resist the urge to write down the Sunday school answer of, it means a life with Jesus, and that's all I need. Yes, that's true. And what makes you happy? And what makes you feel like you? And what are the desires God has uniquely wired in your heart that He knows about? What are the things that make you light up and come alive and bring you joy and make you feel like you are living an abundant life here on this earth? What does an abundant life mean to you? Write down your answer. Your second question is this: what's fun to you? Maybe it's some things that are similar to what you answered for number 1. Maybe it's some different things, but what do you think is fun? What do you like to do for fun? Write down your answer. Your third question is this: do you make time for it? Do you make time for fun in your life? And if not, as a follow-up to this question, what gets in the way? What gets in the way of your girls' trips? What gets in the way of your time out in nature? What gets in the way of your book clubs or your time alone with God or you taking up that new hobby or whatever those things are for you that are fun to you? What gets in the way of you adding fun into your life? If you're not making time for it right now, why not? Write down your answer. And lastly, what is one fun thing you're going to commit to do this week? You're going to put it on the calendar. You're going to get help if you need it. But there's one thing, one baby step, one quick win, one simple thing you're going to do to have some fun in your life this week. What is that you can commit to? Write down your answer. All right, I would love to pray for us as we wrap up like we always do. Lord, thank you that you remind us that you are a good God and all good things come from you. Good things like nature and hiking and laughter and joy and dancing and all of the things that you give us, God, that you have come to this earth, that Jesus has come that we may have life and have it abundantly in you, through you, with you. And God, thank you that there are so many things that you give us to enjoy, from your beautiful creation to our friends, to our family, to our hobbies, to our work, to our interests, the things that we're passionate about that make us light up and come alive. Those are not an accident or afterthought, but they are signs that just point us right back to you, of what a good, creative, beautiful God you are, that loves us and wants us to enjoy all of your blessings. God, help us see those blessings. Help us not feel guilty for enjoying those blessings, and help us make time for those things in our life. In Jesus' name, amen. Thank you all so much for joining me, and you can tune in next week for another episode of The Christy Wright Show. As always, for more encouragement on building confidence in yourself and the God that created you, you can visit ChristyWright.com.
Mercy Me is coming to Pittsburgh. The Together Again tour with Mercy Me, Crowder, and special guest Andrew Rip, Thursday, October 5th. Bring your family and friends to the PPG Paints Arena in Pittsburgh for Mercy Me, Crowder, and Andrew Rip live in concert. 3 multiple award-winning artists on one stage for one night. Let your spirit soar, your heart sing, and your faith ignite. Mark your calendars for Thursday, October 5th. Get your tickets now at mercyme.org.